What's up, Long Players? Welcome to the Long Play Listening Party, the show where we go deep on local music, writing, recording, inspiration, gear, and whatever else sounds good to us. I'm Howie Howard by Mr. Furious from Mr. Furious Records. I'm joined in my dining room for the first time by the whole crew and Katlyn Conroy. Welcome.
Hello. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Royce, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Nice and cool in here. I appreciate that.
Good. Nate?
Same.
All right. So we're here. We're doing this in-person thing for the first time. That's exciting. Exciting to have Katlyn here to talk about all kinds of different music.
Oh, yeah.
You've made a lot of different music.
Yes.
over the years in a lot of different configurations. Mm-hmm. You've done some selections for us.
Yep.
How did you pick what we're going to hear tonight?
Well, I feel like I could have gone about it two ways is how I was thinking about it. Either I could go by the things that I think that like people might be the most familiar with me, or I could go to the things that I personally liked the best, and I chose the latter.
Nice.
So
Good.
I just went through basically my catalog, which is too many songs from like...
That's
yeah.
not a thing.
Yeah. I mean, starting from when I think my first one is when I'm 16, 17, up until like literally this month. So.
Right, you said we have some new ones at the end.
Two brand new ones. Yeah.
So very excited about that.
So when were you, 16 or 17?
When was I? Like what year?
Yeah.
That would have been 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2005, 2006.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So still high school.
Would you like to give us, the 2-minute version of how you got into music and what got you starting to write and record at 17? Or
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I started actually playing and recording when I was 12, but I don't know. I always wanted to be a singer since I was like 5. We watched the 1995, I think, version on a PBS of Les Miserables, the 10th year anniversary, and I became obsessed. And that was literally what made me want to sing. And so I kind of got into that, and I really liked how depressing it was, and that's what made me write solely very depressing songs, probably. And and then, I was in choirs and stuff, but I didn't ever really like kind of doing that, like more choral stuff. And then I only ever listened to kind of dumb pop music until I was about 10, and I heard Radiohead, and I was like, what? This is music. I didn't realize this existed. And then got really into Bright Eyes and a lot of just like kind of Midwestern kind of indie emo music. And then that kind of just expanded my like knowledge of really good lyrics and like intensive like long form lyrics, and made me start wanting to like write poetry, and I did that, and then I started playing piano, and I basically just kind of put it all together by the time I was about 12 and started just writing like super emo music. And I kind of never stopped, even though it got a little older and a little older and a little older. I'm kind of still there. So yeah.
No,
I hadn't. Go ahead, Nate.
I was just saying that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
hadn't.
that story.
So when I was listening this afternoon, I hadn't really made a strong kind of Saddle Creek connection.
Oh, yeah.
But now that you mention it, I see it coming.
I was going to mention to you, because you said you're from Lincoln, and I was going to say, I saw my first Bright Eyes concert when I was 12, and I have seen over 40 Conor Roper's concerts since then. That's my obsession.
Yeah.
But I used to drive up to Omaha basically from the point when I was a teenager almost every weekend to go see The Faint and Cursive and just Neva Genova and everything I could.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here comes Another Holiday.
Yeah.
Is that an artist, a band name that you have?
It was a band name. It was the band I was in high school. It was the first band I ever toured in, and by tour I mean like a week maybe long of basically driving down to Texas and back up, doing some little shows. And it was the first time I was like kind of a main songwriter front of a band. I played keyboards and just tried to be Rilo Kiley essentially. Was my whole thing.
I remember seeing, I think it was called The Wild and Woolly.
Uh-huh.
Was that like something you just put together temporarily, or is that?
Yeah. So that was essentially Another Holiday. That was actually Wild Molly was a mixture of Another Holiday and Cowboy Indian Bear.
Okay.
Because when I was in Another Holiday is when I met CJ and Marty and Bo,
Nice. Okay.
and that's kind of how we played. The very first Cowboy Indian Bear show they ever played was with Another Holiday. So that's how we got the connection. That's how I met them. And then we recorded Another Holiday recorded this album the same time they started recording that first album that Cowboy put out. We were in the same studio with the same person, engineer,
What
Joshua
studio was
Browning. It was Joshua Browning. He bought a church out in Williamstown, Kansas.
Okay.
And we sat in a real dirty church without air conditioning and recorded albums there.
Wow.
So that's where this was recorded. And on this album too, you can hear trains. It was 2 feet from a train track. You hear trains passing back and forth, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
It's like the Jack White school of making yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, it was fun though.
I was gonna comment on like the drums on this. Who was playing drums?
So this is Chris Brower. He was at Another Holiday. He's been in a lot of bands. He played in a little bit with Cowboy when we had our album release. He was one of the drummers that performed with us. He's fantastic. And the cool thing about Another Holiday is I was, like I said, like 16. All of them were 19 to 22, 23, and to me that was significantly older. They were grown men, and they all had really good taste in music. Brower, as we call him, he used to basically type out like sheet music and print it for us and have these songs kind of just the bones of them like prepared. It was very neat and official, and it was great. It was a really lovely experience. It was like very professional.
Yeah.
We didn't really jam unless we were specifically trying to like work on a part of a song. Otherwise, it was kind of all discussed beforehand, and I don't know. It was kind of nice.
So you played keys on this?
I played keys.
Was this like an actual Rhodes?
No, I don't even remember what I played on this. I think I had one of those big Yamaha, like, I don't know what kind it was, but it was like the one with like the fake wood panels on the end. It was a classy Yamaha keyboard that was still kind of mid-range price. That's what I had during this band.
Buy to put in your home or something.
Exactly, 100%. That's what I had for a while.
I like the drum sounds on this.
I would like to say we probably overmixed this album. This is the one thing that we really had being super young is Joshua. We drove him insane because we wanted to be that band that was there, staring at him while he's mixing the whole thing. And he's like, guys, get out of here. I don't want you here for 12 hours while I'm going through this thing. Can you turn that up a little bit down? He's like, we're not there yet.
Said you got into poetry. What was that like?
I was secretly in love with my English teacher in high school, and he used to play us like Elliott Smith, like Bright Eyes and Decemberists when we'd go into class in the morning, and he was a really good poetry teacher, and I had a lot of feelings. And so I don't know that I was ever a good poet, but I was a good enough poet to help me push that into more rhythmic. I think I was always focused on the rhythm, and I love words. Like I love finding words that sound pretty. So like Googling synonyms is been my best friend my entire life, because I'd be like, I want to say this, but how do I say it beautifully? And
I want to pull up the track listing, so I'm not looking at my composer.
I've got it here too if you want.
Yeah.
I've got it up. So.
You've got it up?
Yeah.
Can you just
This is The Return of Nature, a solo project.
So this solo album was made in the same studio as their Holiday record, the Cowboy record. And this was my very first ever solo record. So I was still in Another Holiday and was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to make a solo record. I have all these songs written that we haven't used in Another Holiday, and I've really been thinking about it. And this was actually a song that I co-wrote with my friend JT, he was just like a buddy I had in high school who lived like 20, 30 minutes outside of Lawrence. He lived in Ottawa. And we used to go like to his house and like drink coffee. And he's a beautiful pianist, and he's got like cool. He had a Rhodes, and he used to lug the Rhodes to shows.
Oh, no.
It was a whole thing.
Is that what's on there?
Yeah, it's a Rhodes, and I loved writing music with him. He introduced me to like Feist and Joanna Newsom, and like had very, very like delicious tasted music that got me into a lot of stuff. But a funny anecdote about this song is, again, Joshua was very mad at us because the chorus is "it swallows us up and spits us out," and it's so many S's, and we had to do so many takes of. And this is one of those songs actually where you can hear the train. And it's cool because it sounds like strings going, and it's really neat. I think it's literally like at the.
That's
probably,
a nice. When is it?
It's like in like 10 seconds or 15 seconds or something. It's after this next little section.
In the air, in the air, in the air.
It's right at the end of this next phrase. Just for a moment. And we were listening to
It's
it. We're like,
fantastic. It's
keep
almost
it
in key.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Is that like serendipity or something?
Yeah.
Serendipitous.
Yeah.
I love those phrases, and I didn't notice that until now.
Yeah. So many S's. Poor guy.
I'll keep this story short, but I had like a bad version of this happen on a song once, where I was doing this ukulele song at my friend Corey's house, and in the bridge, this motorcycle like revved its engine and like went shooting down the street. And I will make that the outro music to this episode. Like after we're all done, instead of the normal like outro jam, I will put that song in, so
that's
you can hear the
awesome.
crazy motorcycle.
That's awesome. I've never been good until I think up until maybe about 10 years ago, maybe like 7 years ago, I really started trying. But for so long, songwriting for me was all lyrics, all vocals, and then the music was simply like just something to hold it there. And I luckily had lots of friends and things who would kind of be like, oh, we'll keep going on the music and keep working on the music. And then, but one thing that I loved about playing with JT is that he had all of this instrumental stuff. And I was like, I don't even think about it. Like, I don't even think about instrumental stuff. I do when I listen to music, but when I write music, it's so about the lyrics and so about like what I'm trying to emote that the music almost seems like secondary. But luckily, I wasn't always the only person in charge of everything.
So, do you have any music in mind at all, even chords, or it's like it goes down as poetry at first?
Now it's different. For most of this playlist, it was lyrics, and then I would just find a chord progression, and it mostly would be pretty simple. This song actually was recorded in my living room on a little digital 4-track, and all I did was do the acapella because it just came to me, and so I just recorded it, and all the music was just written to the acapella track.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I somehow stayed on key enough for that to work. And that's the best thing I got from choral singing my whole life is I got really good pitch and I got good enunciation for the most part. But yeah, this was just kind of one night felt like singing something. I did, and then I was like, well, I guess I'll put some music to this.
Well, and rhythm too.
Yeah, and rhythm, a little drum machine I had.
So this is, you changed the artist name for this. Do you want to tell us about that choice and what the difference is?
So I was, this is around the time that I think I had already joined Cowboy, just very recently. I lived in a house with CJ and Bo, and the boys from the Noise FM. We all lived in a big house together for a while. And then I was super, super, super into St. Vincent. And I was always really angry because I would try to book shows as Katlyn Conroy, and they'd be like, oh, you're going to have to need like a band, or you're going to, we don't want singer-songwriters. And I hated that. I hated see somebody's name, you think, oh, it's going to be real, which ironically, my music is really minimal and slow and kind of boring, but I didn't want anyone to know that. I wanted them to book me not knowing that. And so I love the fact that St. Vincent, you never knew what it was, you never knew who you were going to get. It could have been a full band, it could have been one person, and that's where La Guerre came from. And the reason it's La Guerre is because in choir, we sang a song that was like a 10-minute song, and it was about like a French battle, and it was all in French, and it was really difficult to sing and really fun to sing, and it was called La Guerre, which means the war in French, and that's why I changed it to that.
It's a great story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're on.
This will be "Sweetness Is Objective," another La Guerre track.
Yep.
Same like album or EP?
No, this was a song that I recorded. I have a lot of songs that I record just based off of like feeling sad at that point in time, and then I never do anything with it. And this is one of those songs that I never put on anything, never showed to anybody, and then I finally put it on like a B-sides record that I put out last year. But I wrote this, it had to have been back in 2012, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I like this a lot.
One of the things you do very well, I think, is I like lyrics with good prosody. Mm-hmm. The sound of the syllables
right.
flowing and feeling natural, and nothing kind of messes with my listening experience than more than a syllable that, it's just like a flow in rap, right? Like if you get off, it feels like a little pebble in the shoe or something, you know what I mean? And you put, there's a lot going on in the lyrics, but it all flows.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that really does, I owe so much to my obsession with Conor Oberst, because he is such a master of being able to have these like paragraphs and paragraphs of lyrics, and it simultaneously is like, even though it's not meant to be catchy, it's simultaneously catchy and it sticks with you, but it's still like conversational. It doesn't feel real, rigid, and it doesn't always, it's just not overly thought out, and because of that it just kind of flows because it is more conversational, and that's how I really like writing.
You always give us a surprise too, in every one, like in your rhyme schemes, or
Which is funny because I don't write choruses. I've just recently kind of gotten into trying to write a chorus. I've just always hated choruses, like myself, doing them. I'm just not good at them. So it typically, my version of chorus would be, like a bridge, but the lyrics would never be the same. I never would do the same lyrics and make it a chorus. No, I hate that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about the music and the lyrics. And I'm kind of more like, I looked at a lot of the lyrics I could find, and I sent them to everybody, so that we kind of had them if we wanted to refer to them. But what was my point? I've been like, I pay attention to music, where I found like when I just started getting into it and listening to music, like I would always listen to kind of how the music made me feel and like what was going on instrumentally. And then, like, the lyrics would be a kind of a second thought.
And I was just like Katlyn, like, I mean, that was the whole reason I bought a beat machine, just so I could have a beat that would just roll, and I could just write. And then I was like, well, maybe it needs a bass line, or something like that. I just never thought about the music that way. And you can tell, because your music is...
But yeah, so I just... some of the stuff that from La Guerre and just the way that you put the music together, I'd like... kind of want to get into more of that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily right now, but I guess yes, we listen to more of it. But I really like the way that I assume that you just record most of that yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I really like the way that you put that together.
Thank you.
Your comments about people telling you to work on the music definitely paid off.
Sure. Yeah, and so around this time, I was also, Jordan Geiger is one of my favorite songwriters just of all time. He was my hero growing up here, and I used to go see him play a lot. And the song Return of Nature, the album that's on, my first solo album, I had to work up so much courage to ask him to sing on a song on there with me, and he did, and I was so surprised he said he would. And after that, because I was kind of trying to get in there, so maybe he'll want me to sing with him, and maybe he'll want me to be in his band,
right.
And he did. So we did I did a few little gigs with him and all around. And
I was going to say that I remember that, and it was probably like a big deal.
It was a huge deal. And then we went and played Austin City Limits, and that was when I was like 21, and it blew my mind. And I played on Jerry Lee Lewis or whatever piano, and I got to it was insane. And so this is one of my favorite songs of his, and I'm singing on it too, obviously, but yeah, this is all his songwriting. And I don't think I could ever write like him, and I've tried, because I'm always that's always something I think is fun, is to take a songwriter I really like and actually try to write a song they would write, even if I'm not going to use it. And I like when I can't, because I'm it just makes me appreciate them even more. But Jordan Geiger is just, everything that comes out of his mouth is insane, from his voice to the lyrics to what he comes up with. And it was just a really, really special time playing with him and getting to have these opportunities to do really cool things like that. And
this is a wonderful song.
Yeah. And he records all analog, and it's crazy. And just recorded this in his room at his house. And of course he has John Congleton, is that right? His a dude who mixes it, who does the Yeah records, everybody.
Okay.
He's fantastic, and down in Texas, and that's eventually he went and moved down to Austin to make more music, and now he's back here. But if I could make music with Jordan for the rest of my life, I 100% would, because he's fantastic.
We should say, for the listeners, if you want to hear more of this, it's under the name Hospital Ships.
Hospital Ships is Jordan's project. Yep, he's still making music. I'm supposed to be singing on the next thing he's doing, which is, where everything's been obviously turned all upside down the last few years, but I definitely look forward to doing a lot more stuff with him. Just a very, very unique and gorgeous voice.
Well, your voice is also gorgeous and unique, and I guess I'm trying to segue from that comment.
This is a good one.
Which is why, I asked you, not to plug anything, I asked you to record on a song a few years ago, which I loved.
I was so close to putting that on here, and I didn't know if I should or not.
No. It
was cool.
No,
it was
expectations
fun.
or anything.
We'll link to it.
My point of it was, though, that you kind of took a story, an external story, which is a really cool story, and I loved it. But I was wondering, how do you do that often, or is that kind of just? No,
I don't. I really do kind of write what I know too much. I've gotten in trouble a lot by essentially revealing deep, dark secrets that.
Because the lyrics are, a lot of lyrics seem personal.
Yeah,
could be.
And I've definitely had periods of time in my life that I've not done great things to people maybe I cared about, or that was touring a lot and doing things, and it's just impossible for me to. It's my therapy. It's how I get it out, and sometimes I knew that would be kind of the only way I could say certain things too,
Right.
And so that's a lot of what these actual next few songs are, honestly, is and this is also getting into, so this is when I discovered GarageBand and was like, wow, this is great. I can use this I was touring all the time with Cowboy around this time, all the time. And I was like, I can just demo all this stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is I ended up just getting kind of impatient, and so the next 4 songs are all on GarageBand.
Nice.
And they stayed that way. And I recorded all Rare and Collectible Spirits and Violent and some albums. They're just all GarageBand. All the vocals are me singing to the mic hole on an iPad 1.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
That's
Just because it was right there, and I just wanted to put it out, and I didn't really care if it sounded too professional, or I just liked the vibe of it. So Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that, especially about the mic. I mean,
Not at all.
it sounds great.
Not at all.
It took a lot of practice to get it to
So
where I
there's
wasn't.
a technique.
There is definitely a technique. It's how high I hold it, it's how far my face I hold it, it's the environment.
Wow.
Yeah. There's like a place in my mouth I have to sing for it to sound specifically good. Yeah.
So, do you still use GarageBand? Okay.
I sure do. I it's like the conversation we were having before this. It's just really hard for me to. I don't know that it's actually hard. I think I amp myself up too much and I get like overwhelmed previously to learning it. So I'm like, I can't learn that. I'll stick to what I know. So everything, really literally everything after this point, given other than the 2 Cowboy songs that we'll listen to, are at least demoed on GarageBand, if not like beats and things taken. Because I'd go in and obviously like I'd do all the beats and mess with it. So I didn't really use any like pre-programmed stuff, but I definitely like learned enough on how to tweak it to try to get everything I possibly could out of it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can't really know you, you know I'm not supposed to though, baby. I mean, I'll stop saying these things.
So I like how you were doing that with the lyrics, just kind of like catching yourself. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Well, the funny thing is, if I can ever say anything about my music, it's incredibly genuine because 90% of this stuff, like I recorded this song on my iPad, sitting on my dad's porch in Florida, while he was like passed out one night, and it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was thinking about somebody, and I was just literally just got it out, and that's how it came out. And I didn't do takes, like I did like basically like 1 or 2 takes of anything, and it just did what it was. So. It's really, really driven by emotion more than anything else, yeah.
And I talk way too.
But going in like more into like just like the sound of your voice, kind of reminds me of like is it Amelie from Sylvanesso? Do you like them at all?
I don't listen to them a lot, but I've heard them a lot, yeah, and I do like her voice a lot.
Which I mean, that you were recording and playing music before.
Right.
I think they were like 2012 or something like that. But your voice kind of reminds me of that. So I didn't know. You obviously have had your own kind of style for a while. So
I think that.
Are you influenced by anyone? Is kind of what I was.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably most people are like this, but I think the way my voice is now is just a complete mishmash of all my influences. Like, again, I will say with every aspect of my songwriting, even singing, I Conor Oberst, because even though I've never actively tried to sing with him or like him, I've screamed out loud to all of his songs 20 million times in my life, and so clearly that influences how I sing emotionally.
Okay.
Like I said, I always really loved like Coco Rosie. And again, even though I wasn't necessarily trying to like emulate the way that they sing, I love their style of singing. St. Vincent is a big one. I also am obsessed with Kate Bush, and I think a lot of her theatrics are things that, even though again I might not think directly translate to a lot of the way I write, I think it probably does, like subconsciously. Yeah.
You're in a unique position, I think, too, because for a few reasons. I mean, your choral background, and also, your ear and your experience recording yourself. You can really choose where to put your voice and how to fit it to each song or each album, or you've got a lot of tools in that toolkit.
Yeah. I was actually having this conversation while I was recording vocals just like last week. And I will say the one thing is that I think one of the reasons I also like writing like conversationally and kind of having it a little more casual, because I do think something I've never liked about my voice is because I am a good singer, it's super easy to sound real commercial or real, mainstream. If I just don't think and I just sing, a lot of the times if I hear that, I just don't like it, because I that's not what I'm trying to get with this, and so when I sing more with emotion and less like when I'm trying to be good vocally, that's when I usually get the things I really like. So a lot of the times we re-recorded lyrics to one song because I listened to it and I was like, this doesn't sound like me. Like, it is me, but I'm just singing too on. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, kind of, but not in a way that I think is good. Like, maybe technically good, but I was just like, because I can sing very powerfully if I want to, and I think that works a lot of the times to my advantage. But if I just don't think about it and that's all I do, I hate it. So.
No, I like the kind of the forlorn quality to a lot of what, you know, a lot of the songs that you sing. Just, I mean, it is emotional, obviously, but it's kind of a longing.
Absolutely.
Of sounds.
Yeah, and I mean that is like, I think that's probably what most of my songs end up being about, is wanting things I can't have or things like that. And you know, this album that this song is on is when I decided to start, because I was trying to like tour with Guerre a lot and trying to like get people to review it, and this album and the EP that led up to it, I sent out to like 1 billion people, and I got like somebody in like London, someone like Paris to review, and I'm like, cool, and that was basically anybody who the only people that did, but there were good reviews, that was good. But I was trying to define like the genre, and I hate saying electro pop because to me it's not pop at all. You know, it could be a lot of things, but after this song, because I thought it sounded real ghosty, and I'm a big horror fan, I really like spooky, eerie stuff, so I started calling it apparition pop.
That's a nice name.
Or now it's kind of like bummer pop or something. I don't know. It's, you know, it's like, it's got like a chill vibe. I always describe my music as when you're walking into a party at like 3 a.m. and everyone's passed on the couch, and like the lights are still on, like different color lights are still on, but it's just like everything's kind of slow motion because everybody's drunk and passed out. This would be the music that would be playing. So that's how I always kind of think of my music.
I like that term. Apparition pop.
Well, and it's the reason I called this album Rare and Collectible Spirits is because Cowboy was on tour in Chicago. I went to this giant liquor store, and they had a specialty case of old liquors, and it said Rare and Collectible Spirits in gold letters, and I was like, that's super cool. And then I was like, Spirits, and
Spirits.
That's why I named it that.
Gotcha.
Though I can't stay.
This was directed to someone I was trying to win over at the time.
This is
Feel It.
Feel It.
Trying to be mad at somebody. Basically all my songs too are like, you're an asshole to me. Still want to be with you, but don't be an asshole to me anymore.
Right.
And just give in. It's like all of my, it's bad.
No, but the way that you say that, you say that in very, many different ways, and they're all different. And
honest.
You know, it's all. I'm such a romantic, and I'm a romantic in a way that like I know that like being in love is dirty and fucked up and depressing and like makes you kind of a shitty person almost when you're really in love with somebody, and not in like an actual way that like you're doing anything to anybody or anything like that, but just like, I don't know, and maybe that's just how I feel, but I don't know, I feel like I'm my most genuine self when I'm those points, because you're just kind of raw and you like don't even care what anybody thinks, and that's how I write, like this part especially.
Yeah, there's both, there's kind of a beauty and a horror in there.
Absolutely.
Like that phrase right there, the check me out like I'm a library book.
Yeah, check me out like I'm a library book, read the summary, and then be done with me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I am not yours to be a bastard.
That one too.
I'm disastrous on my own, need no help from you.
I don't know, I've felt like that before.
Yeah.
I can screw things up written up on my own.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know, I think it's so, a lot of musicians do this obviously, and just like writers in general, but a lot of my songs are just like that kind of in the moment processing my thoughts, and it almost always ends in like a self-deprecation. Okay, yeah, I know I'm being dramatic. Like, I get it, but like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell you this, you know, and a lot of the times I just actually literally say that in the songs because I'm just like, I get it. Like, I really am talking to people in these songs, like, very clearly.
How does that translate to performance?
I'm usually sweating bullets when I perform. It's funny, I think 90% of the reactions I get when I perform are always, it's the like surface level, oh, you have a great voice, I like your song, you know, music, and then, sure. But the people that I really appreciate are the people that come up to me and kind of like, you okay? and that's been like that my entire life, because I do like, I close my eyes a lot when I perform. I shake a lot when I perform. It's just because I'm just thinking about it and getting back into it, and it's not an act or anything, and a lot of it, that's why I don't really think I'm honestly a great performer as far as like showmanship. I just get up there and I play the songs. I wish I could be like super. One day I will. This new project, Cheery, I'm trying to do that with. I'm trying to make it more like genuine but polished, and something kind of a real exaggeration of all the stuff I've done to make it almost kind of like sarcastically theatrical. That's my goal with this new project. So
yeah, and yeah, there's different ways to go about it, but I think if I'm going to see someone and I really am wanting to hear the music, I'm not necessarily concerned about what's going on stage. And there's I don't know why it's come up recently, but I love Mazzy Star and Hope Sandoval. Like, she's like famously like just I don't want to say anti-social, but yeah, I mean, she is, you know, like, and just doesn't care about like the audience or anything. Yeah. And she doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was that's actually been a kind of a negative thing. Yeah. For you know, but not, I don't know if she there's probably like some internal struggle there. But anyway, not to get off topic, but I mean that. Interacting with the crowd, I think, you know, will bring a different vibe.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so too. And I don't necessarily like. I'm very like. I work really hard on stuff. I really want people to like me. I like feel like I am by nature a big entertainer. Throughout, like, in my life, or I want to be, like, in my head, that's who I am, and how I present myself is very different. And it's really true. Like, I performing is one of my favorite things to do in the world. If I could have 1 million people see me every time I performed, I would be like, awesome. Yeah. I don't know if that would. Yeah, I would still probably be up there, like, whoa, like, not knowing what to do, but like. Yeah, I don't know. I always think I'm so much more larger than life than I think I actually am, you know? But in my head I am.
That's the only place it matters.
Yeah, it's true. And so this album, Sapphires, was basically 90% of it was comprised of songs that I wrote even before the songs you just heard, but had never recorded. And then was on the record machine in Kansas City and was like, well, I'm gonna actually make an album, make a real album again, because the last time I had done that was with my very first solo album, and since then it had just been like Garage Band and me self-releasing it and stuff. And so for this, I got all the Cowboy guys, I got a bunch of friends to come in and have full bands, and recorded again with Joshua Browning, who I recorded most of this stuff with. Me and Cowboy worked with him for a long time. And so this was like, which I really, really like, but also I don't think I'm a control freak at all, but it does kind of suck having to depend on other people to do your stuff, because you want, you know, and I'm also somebody that I don't like to be a bother. So like, I might want to do something 200 times, but I'm going to do it 3 times because I want to be professional and I want to be nice and stuff. And so I love this album turned out, and I think it was great, but there was just a sense of not having the control that I wanted, you know, and I'm too polite to say anything about it. But
even though it turned out like how you liked how it turned out.
I do. I really like how it turned out.
You probably wanted a little more control over how some of the things.
And I mean, it's good, but it's also something where it was like being in Cowboy Indian Bear. I wasn't the lead in that band, and I was not used to not being a lead in the band or not writing all the songs in the band. And letting go of that control ended up being so good for me. And it's like that with everything else. I always try to say, well, okay, yeah, like I didn't have all of this power in this, but like that's okay. It's probably good that I didn't. You know, I don't know, but it's probably helped me somehow.
Right.
For sure, I love the back and forth between solo stuff and collaboration, and I could never want to do just one.
Yeah, I agree.
The yin and yang of it is each one helps the other, and you kind of scale up on both by going back and forth.
Oh yeah, and I only learn by letting other people do the stuff that I want to do, because I am, like, again, not in a negative, like, jerky way, but I am kind of if I could do everything myself, I would, even though I don't know how to do half of the things I want to do. So it is, it's the only way I learn is to kind of take a step back and let other people help me. Honestly, that's the only way I do it. This song is about taking a bunch of acid.
Yeah, I was going to ask. This is Cold Open, and next. Oh no, this is acid.
This is acid. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask about Cold Open though. I meant to watch whatever the opening scene that you said that's
dark.
based on. Yeah,
it's really dark. It's really dark. Yeah. So I said I was like a big horror movie fan, and Antichrist is one of my favorite movies, and it's a Lars von Trier film, and it's just literally about like a couple whose like kid dies, and it's like going through the stages of grief, but it's also like a weird like nature horror movie, and it's insane. And
I'm gonna have to let Amber know about that one.
Yeah.
Because that she's a big horror movie fan.
The first scene is very dark, which I wrote the song out.
Cold Open.
Yeah, Cold Open.
But this song is acid.
This is acid.
About taking much acid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Nesby had one of those, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, it's all my songs are obviously about like not necessarily just one thing, but yeah, this was brought on by when I was like 18. I've done acid a good handful of times in my life, and this was one of the first times I did it. And I drove out to the country with my friends and did acid, and just basically about like the warping of perception that I experienced and how that relates to my actual like warped perception in my brain of my everyday life. So yeah, and then somehow it ended up sounding like a country song, and I was like, all right, that's cool.
Was this recorded because Favored on Sapphire?
Favorites on Sapphire. So this album was recorded, actually, this was the first or one of the very, I think it was the first album recorded at the Sound and Vision studio.
Oh.
Or one of the like first three or something, but it was literally right when it opened. My buddy Matt Pelsma engineered it, just had my La Guerre band at the time, which this was the first time I recorded with my buddy Orion that ended up kind of being my like dual partner in La Guerre, and now this him and I are Dooms. And but yeah, this
Orion
was
Dollar.
Okay. Orion Walker Dollar, one of the coolest names ever.
That is a pretty cool name.
It is a really cool name.
Sound and Vision is the studio at the Lawrence Public Library.
Yes.
It's such a cool resource to have in town.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible, yeah.
It's a wonderful studio. The staff are incredible. So shout out to the Lawrence Public Library and Sound and Vision.
Yeah.
And thank you for acid.
Yeah.
There's no official crossover.
I was nodding my head because we were talking about acid. I was like, should I be saying that? There's gonna be people probably listening to this or watching it.
Yeah.
I'm sure our listeners are aware that acid exists.
Yes.
Acid
People
exists.
occasionally take it.
As a PSA, I've only ever taken incredibly small amounts of acid at a time and very safe environments. And that's, if you're ever going to choose to do that, that is how you should do it, to be safe with
That
yourself.
is the way, yes.
And
exactly.
a huge tip is to do something creative, because it's a great tool for being incredibly creative.
Trusted people.
Trusted people.
They control the
Very small amounts.
Yes, and with options to do something creative.
Drugs are the only thing that make you creative, so you definitely should do them. So yeah, the opening of this movie, Antichrist, is Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg are making love in their room, and their like 3 or so year old son gets up out of bed and crawls to a window and accidentally falls out of the window as they are climaxing. It's very dark. And so I wrote the song from the perspective of the child. Everyone's faces. It sounds a lot more wild than I felt like it was, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, kind of to get back to like listening to instrumentally more than lyrically. Like I really love the instrumental in the song.
We have Calvin playing harp on here.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
And I was like, please come in and just do beautiful things, and he did. And yeah, a lot of breathing and.
No, because we talked to CJ a little while ago, and we all it's one of Howie's favorite records, and I all really liked the record, and I listened to it. But hearing him talk about how kind of personal and how not happy it was, it's just it's I don't know the correct adjective or word for it, but just how different people can interpret or feel different things, even though the subject matter might be really sad or dark. The music itself is like really pretty, and like if you don't, you kind of put the actual words kind of back there, like it makes you feel, at least for me, it kind of makes me calm and happy and peaceful.
Well, I don't know. I think I've always also been somebody who finds kind of the saddest things kind of the prettiest in a certain way, or at least feeling those emotions, not necessarily like actual things that happen, but like the kind of like letting go. Speaking of that, this is one of those. So I didn't know whether to include this or not, because this is a very vulnerable song, but I thought that because it was like literally the most vulnerable song I've ever written, it was pretty important. So wonderful segue after what we just talked about.
Yes.
In 2016, I lost a child, and this song was my way of basically writing if that hadn't have happened, and was super important for me to write. And I even played it on a tour that we did, and it was like a challenge to myself, but I really thought it would be very helpful, and I think it was. Like, it was a huge part of the grieving process. And
how did that go, like the performance itself?
Good. I think there was one experience when we were playing in Chicago that the sound guy was just I love sound guys, but this dude was just an asshole from the start. He was just a jerk. He just treated me and Orion like we were nothing. And then before I always played the song, I'd give just like a tiny little explanation about what it was about, and then I'd play it, and I just could see his face like fucking drop, like, why was I an asshole to her? And I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't do anything for you to be an asshole to me anyway. And it wasn't meant to make people feel bad, but it was definitely one of those things where
this shouldn't make you
exactly. But no, he was after, he was like, that was really good. I'm sorry, I was a jerk. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know why you were in the first place, but no, I mean, I don't know. I think it was really good, and to play this, and again, it's just like one of those things where this song isn't necessarily like, clearly it's about that I'm sad that something didn't happen, but it's more like imagining it did, you know, and kind of giving myself this kind of like fantasy to make me feel good for a moment. And it really worked, honestly.
It's kind of like sort of trying to heal.
Yeah.
Handed down by common men.
Also, when I went into this, for some reason, I was like, I'm gonna write a Leonard Cohen song, and even though it doesn't have to translate like that at all, in my head I was like, I'm writing a Leonard Cohen song. I don't know. I was reading a lot of Leonard Cohen poetry and lyrics when I.
Under the sun, would change.
I think that's great, and I mean, we talked earlier, I don't remember if it was before we were recording or not, about this writing exercises and like trying to do something like an artist maybe or something. I think the thing about that is hardly anyone ever gets what artist you were trying to do if you share with the like it's still I might try to sound like somebody, but it comes out as me no matter
Exactly,
what, you know?
exactly.
And you might try and sound like Leonard Cohen, but the rest of us hear it as you.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
we have
exactly.
no idea until you tell us.
And I used to be so scared of, before I would write, I would make sure I wasn't listening to music for like days, because I didn't want those intentional like influences. I didn't want to just write a song that I've been listening to a bunch. But now now it's exciting to me to, like, I've been listening to that new Japanese Breakfast album, and there's a specific song on there, Paprika, that is like based off the movie Paprika. It's so good.
That song.
Oh, it's fantastic. But like just the feel of the song, like I gotta write a song with this, like that makes me feel the way that this song makes me feel. And I think that I've really enjoyed being able to like pick out these really vague things in songs that I can try to like capture and emulate without actually ripping a song off. And that's kind of cool.
Like, I want to make something like that.
Yeah, I want to make something that makes somebody feel the way that I feel when I listen to this song.
It's a wasteland.
And now this is, so I could have put on a million Cowboy songs because, that was like a giant part of my life, and they're fantastic. But I just put two from Van Deventer, which was the last album we ever made, mainly because these are the only ones I actually like wrote the lyrics to and had like a big part of the songwriting in. So yeah, this was one that I believe Danny and CJ got together and made these tracks and then basically sent it to me and was right. Yeah. And this was taken from a song that I had written when I was like 11 or 12, and it was a song I never used, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like just like take the idea of this, and that's where this song came from.
Yeah, I love the the instrumental like the bed of this track.
Yeah. It's very
kind of
open.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I was really intimidated when I got it because it was so open. Yeah. Like I was like, there's not a melody or anything. What the hell? Like, what am I supposed to do?
It seems like it's in parts, but the lyrics and
improving's scary too, to me. Improving is scary. Trying to kind of write something where there isn't any sort of guide, whether it's from me or from somebody else, and
it's really cool that you were able to use something from so far back, and kind of recontextualize it. Can I ask one Cowboy question?
Yeah, of course.
From the outside,
okay,
it seems like it must have been just a very, like you were saying about this song, like a very open creative process. Did you have any idea what kind of band you were, what kind of band you wanted to be, or like what was that like from the inside?
So I think the way that we saw Cowboy, at least that I can speak on, well, I know what their thought process was before I joined the band, because it was only a short, 6 or so months before I was in the band. I think that like we kind of joked about that we were like kind of like a super group because we all wrote songs. Like Bo didn't, but Bo was so crazy good at everything that it was just didn't even matter that he wasn't a songwriter. But like I had known Marty my whole life and like loved his songwriting, and I had met CJ not way before that, but loved his songwriting. And from the moment CJ and I met, I was at his house like every weekend, like recording random stuff with him. And I don't know. I mean, I think for us, Cowboy for a long time was kind of CJ and Marty writing these songs and us just trying to like make them proud. Like honestly, I think that a lot of that, like us trying to add things and then whatever it happened it was. But I think then as we kind of moved forward and started getting deeper into recording Live Will Die Young, like we kind of just sunk into more and more collaboration as we went deeper and deeper. And then obviously for this album, the concept of this album is our van died in St. Louis when we were still on this giant tour, and we were like, we give up. And it was
So the tour didn't happen, or did
never happened. Our van broke down on a second show in first show in St. Louis. It was our first headlining tour. We were going to be all over the East Coast. Had like 4 shows in New York, and we basically all went and got drunk at like a sports bar, and we're like, we're gonna stay here for a weekend because we couldn't get back into Lawrence for like a weekend. So we all wrote music and then turned it into Van Deventer essentially. But this song is a love letter to our van named Candy, about the good times we had before it died on us. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think that the band definitely started as, okay, CJ and Marty are writing these songs, then we're kind of joining in more creatively as far as like the execution of them live and recording and stuff, and singing together was like such like an otherworldly thing anyway, because it was just, that's like what we did all the time. But no, I don't know. I don't think we ever knew what band, I never had any idea of what I knew people liked us. I didn't really know like what we sounded like. I didn't. I just, because every time I saw live videos of us or would play a show, I was so focused on doing it well. Like and that's the thing is, Cowboy had for a very, very, very long time 3 or 4 practices a week that were about 4 or 5 hours long, and we'd play the same song 30 times in a row.
Man,
it was boot camp.
Intense.
It was crazy. Yeah. And it wasn't, but I mean, and like, yeah, there were times where I was like but then you do that, and then you like go play a show, and you're just, everyone's like, you guys are so tight. I'm like, yeah, we better be. Like I didn't spend my entire week not being, so we couldn't be good.
I mean, like were you all kind of in that period in your life though, where it just made sense, and it was what you did was kind of something like we need to do this?
I mean, I think we were all obviously into it. I think we really wanted to be the best we possibly could, because we were really trying to do it. Yeah. Like if we basically gave it 150% from the moment the band was started till the moment that band ended. Like we played,
obviously, like
yeah, we played like hundreds of shows, and every show we played, we like worked really hard to do good, and I think that was just, we maybe put in so much effort that we got burnt out real hard because we weren't getting the things that we thought that we deserved at that point, which wasn't anything other than just like being able to do the stuff we wanted to. And then we go and we're finally gonna do this tour, we're so stoked for this tour, and then it's just like, it's just not working, I don't.
Then you wrote an album like when your band was broken down, instead of just being like
yeah exactly. That's how we that productivity was the way that we gave up, honestly.
I think I thought I'd finally believe.
So this is again kind of a little, I only put this on here because I feel like this song is an example of me writing songs on guitar, which I've started doing a lot more. I'm not a good guitar player at all. I know I can probably play like 10, like 6 to 7 chords probably. But it is very different. Even though I don't really know how to play guitar, it's really fun writing on something other than keyboard or something, and so I just found that I'm writing very different songs, and I like them a lot, and so this is just kind of just one of those, and they all kind of blend together to me. But I don't know, I like, not the content or anything, but it's just like,
did you play guitar on this one?
No, and that's the thing that sucks. So this was this is one of those classy. The thing that I hate about GarageBand is you can't. I don't have a way to plug my guitar in and play it, so I just have to use these stupid guitars on there.
Okay.
So this is that's why this song's never released on anything that wasn't like a little EP thing that was like very low key. But yeah, like chord wise and stuff, I don't know. I really like writing songs like this because it's really different. I just I'm at the very kind of beginning stages of doing that.
Alright if I'm pretending that it is.
I predict good things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's your plan forward? Like, what's your next year look like?
Yeah, so this is a good segue because so Guerre basically ended up at the end kind of being Orion and I, and we wrote this album like a year or so ago, and we worked really hard on it.
That just what we heard, what you did vocally there was like amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so good.
Thank you.
Sorry, didn't mean it.
Well, that is the other thing about playing guitar is the thing I was talking about earlier about like being worried about sounding too like given too much power and stuff. I feel like I can do that when I'm playing guitar because I'm not very good at guitar, so it's a little bit more minimalist, and then I can be more vocal and more intense. Exactly, and then it's like it works out.
Or not overcompensating, but compensating.
Yeah. But anyway, so Guerre is now split into two projects because Orion and I wrote this album and it didn't feel right calling it Guerre because it was so collaborative. Like we literally wrote it half and half. And I'm so excited about this album, and it's going to be, I don't want to say anything official, but we're really excited to put it out on hopefully a really cool label next year in the spring or so.
Nice.
And this is a song from that. So him and I are now called Dooms. And we have this entire album that's been done and for like a year or so, and I'm super proud of it. And it's really intense, and this is definitely like one of the simplest songs on it. But he moved to Seattle, and so he lives there. And basically, we did this album like partially when he was here and partially when he was coming back and forth from Seattle. But I'm very excited. So him and I are Dooms, and now my new official solo project, Guerre is no more. Now my solo project is Cheery, and that is, I'm trying to really amp that up, and it's going to be like kind of I'm really trying to level up the energy in my songwriting. So the album, at least this first album I wrote with Cheery, which I'm about halfway done with right now, and I'm currently recording, I'll be recording on Saturday morning stuff, is really energetic in a way that I approve of, because I find things energetic to sometimes be very easily cheesy, and I don't like that. So I think I've found a fairly good balance of my super dark songwriting and then kind of like just making it like really in your face energetic, and I'm looking forward to how people think about that.
Lyrically though, right?
Lyrically it's the same shit. But it's a little bit more polished. Like I'm and I don't mean polished in the sense that I'm trying to make it more like
Britney Spears.
Yeah, I just mean that I'm trying to make that like make myself level up a little bit, you know, and how I present stuff, and I can always write a sloppy sad song, like always, you know, so it's just like I'm trying to challenge myself. Dooms is still going to be a little bit more of that gloom, but it is like kind of more like almost like a Tory, more like electronic kind of doomy vibe, and Cheery is kind of almost like a sarcastically happy album that I'm really looking forward to, and this last song will be the new Cheery.
Was that difficult? Like, were you finding it difficult, or was it?
So I'm lucky because I have basically written all these Cheery songs on GarageBand, and then I think they're at a good place. And then I've been making this album with Eric Davis, who was my very, very first band I was ever in when I was like 14 to 16, called the Ultraviolets. He was in that band with me, and now he does a project called Palazzolo.
Okay.
And so I've known him literally since I spent the night at his house when I was like 14. Like, I've known him my whole life, and so I've been going to his house, and basically he takes my songs and he's just like, this is great, let's double the drums or something, and I'm like, what? And then it's just, and I'm like, all right. And so he's really helping me, because that's, I kind of had to admit, like, I just don't know how to do this. Like, it's definitely a lot of the songwriting. Like, I can amp up the songwriting and make it, a little brighter and try to do that. But like, I don't know how to make a song intense and not cheesy to me. And he's kind of filling that space in a really amazing way. So this is a Cheery song. Yeah. very excited.
I gotta think, you probably almost, or I imagine you almost had to have both projects. Like you couldn't do just one.
Oh
right?
yeah,
If you're gonna
100%.
If you're gonna split your
100%.
songwriting personality out like
Yeah. Well, I am someone who, anybody who knows me, I do 400 things at once at all times. I do illustration. I do like literally everything I run a camp. Like I do everything all at once because I have to be incredibly busy or I'll die. And this is just one example of that.
But the content too. I mean, because if you're gonna try and go a little, not cheesily happy, but like if you're gonna try and go there. You need the repository for like the darkest
No,
of the dark.
100%.
Just a little outlet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It'll be like Prince. That'll be a big hit. Like I'm never playing that
Well, I
song.
definitely want to hear more from both
Yeah.
of these projects because I appreciate you debuting.
Oh yeah.
Previewing songs to us here on the show.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this album. I just did last weekend a music video for this song, which is so this album as my first solo album, this new project, I'm trying to do all the things I wanted to do before but just never did. Both the Dooms album, this album will definitely be released on vinyl. There'll be
Nice.
I'm gonna make 4 to 5 music videos for this album alone. And yeah, we had an 11-hour shoot for this video on Saturday, and I'm so excited. It was, I just conceptualized it. Yeah, and I was like, we're gonna do all these different scenes and have dancers, and they're all gonna choreograph something, and it looked so cool, and I'm super excited. You can tell I'm really trying to just because I've never done it, and I really like to challenge myself and see what would happen if I do something completely the opposite. And I would have never had a song that could have handled choreographed dances, and this album can.
I can see it for this for sure.
Yeah. And they're cool. It was real modern dancing. It was really good. I worked with some really, really awesome people on this, and super excited for this to come out.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And we'll talk about your social media and stuff in a segment, but I did see some of this stuff that looked really cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
What a great way to end this playlist. I said, what a great way to end this playlist.
Right? It's it's a lot of doom and gloom and ends on a
One little ray of hope.
Yeah, exactly. We just recorded a song that to me sounds literally like Mario Kart, and I'm so excited. And that's how I can describe it. Is it literally just sounds like you're playing Mario Kart? I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm going for this project.
Yeah, lyrically, I guess there's doom and gloom.
Hey everybody, it's Howie. Whole crew is still here. Our conversation with Katlyn went long. It's fantastic. You're going to hear the rest of it next week. But right now, we did want to mention, Katlyn, you're playing on July 3rd.
Yep.
With Cheery at the Replay in Lawrence.
Yep, with C.S. Lexum and the Creepy Jingles, and it's an inside nighttime show, Saturday, July 3rd. It's going to be awesome.
It will be awesome.
Fantastic, and we'll be back next week with the rest of this conversation. Later, everybody.
I have found that I don't care to have this be the way it is, but I am thinking that there is some other way that this can be, but can't hang with the big whatever. We should burn it down together. Tell me that you do not want to put it in the dirt, but pull the teeth out, burn the skin out, make it work for what it's worth, but can't hang with the big whatever. We should burn it down together. Well, the hours pass over. Only praying now or never. I know that I can at times be creeping toward the maudlin classics. I just think that it's worth saying, so please don't be so dramatic. I don't mind the big whatever. I don't mind it then or never.
Were you listening to me play ukulele, Mom?
Get the dick out of my room!
I think that was pretty good. And there's this
Motorcycle?
yeah, the ripping motorcycle happened right in the bridge where I'm like,
I was gonna say, maybe we should have the motorcycle drive into the room.
that might be a little better.
God damn, dude, that motorcycle